Now, there's another thing called the rapture. And this is Reverend Jimmy Evans, talking about it, right? Now, the question has always been, what is the rapture, right? And it happens, they say, before he returns, right? Now, the tribulation period, which is a period where they're trying to rebuild the temple. Now, with today's modern technology, they might be able to build the temple within 3.5 years, right? But at the same time, right, I can't go to Jerusalem until the temple's rebuilt if I'm one of the two witnesses. For example, I don't just go marching to Zion without a reason to go. Now, the temple has not stood in 2,000 years because the Romans tore it down, all but the western wall. But the thing is, you can't use the western wall at all if you're going to build a new temple because it was, burnt and stuff like that, right? and again, you got to tear it all down, right? Unless you want to build it from the western wall. I don't know how you would do that, but anyway. Yeah, that's kind of the problem, right? So you're praying for the rebuilding of the temple in Jerusalem, but in order to do that, right, you have to get rid of the old to rebuild something new, right? Well, the reason they probably left the wall is Jesus said, "There shall not be one stone left upon another," right? That's man, right? Doing for man's sake, right? a thing, right? To make it seem like Jesus was wrong, right? But at the same time, he knew they would destroy the temple by a certain time after they killed him, right? And that's because the Jews are trying to take their kingdom back from the Romans, right? And you understand this, any occupied people are going to want to, have their own land one day, right? Well, the problem is the Dome of the Rock, right, is on the Temple Mount now, right, where the temple used to be 2,000 years ago. And see, that's proof the Jews at least occupied the land back then, right? And were there, right? They had a presence, right? So, what you got to understand, though, is some say the rapture happens before the building's even built, right? Some say in the middle, and some say at the end, right? Well, at the end, when the two witnesses die, what does the voice of the Lord say? Come up hither. And then the two witnesses rise, right? In everybody's sight, they see them rise. They, in fact, at first celebrate our deaths, right? And then 3 days later, when we rise and ascend into heaven, right? They are shocked and mourn, right? Now, the problem is, though, I'm explaining Old Testament stuff, right? They don't think applies anymore, right? But Paul told you something about Jesus you're failing to understand, right? So did John, but he did it in a different way, right? He had Jesus to say, "I am the door and I am the shepherd," right? Now, like I told you, the Catholics came in, right, 300 years after Christ died, or around that time, let's say 298, maybe. Whatever, right? Right. Maybe 97 or that would be 28, right? Now, what happened with the Gregorian calendar, though, is they tried to date it back to when he was born, right? And go from there forward, right? Well, you can't follow two calendars, right? Because one won't fit with the other, right? So the true calendar shows Christ was born at least before 6 AD, right? 6 or 7 AD, because Herod died 2 years after, too, right? He also tried to kill the children around Jerusalem that were under 2, right? Which that suggests, when was he born? 2 years before. 2 years before, right? Hello? Why is he killing all the male children under 2, right? Well, he, like most men, thought Jesus would be born a male, right? Not that, again, right, he went after any of the girls, right? And Jesus would be both a boy and a girl, so the soldiers wouldn't know what to do with that, right? But before that happened, Joseph was born in a dream and fled to Egypt, and with what the wise men brought, right, the frankincense, gold, and myrrh, especially the gold, right, he went to Egypt first, right? Now, Luke said everything prophesied about Jesus was fulfilled, and then they went back to Nazareth, right? Well, this has to do with a scripture in one of the minor prophets talking about Jesus being born in Bethlehem. Anyway, I know, right? I forgot the passage. It's in Matthew, anyway. And so, anyway, when you understand that, right, and it's not until the two witnesses are resurrected and told to come up hither, right, and in the sight of the whole world are brought up, right, that the rapture may occur. Anyway, I don't know, right? See, you know, that's kind of, I know, what you need, right, to be raptured anyway, right? You gotta be told to come up here, right? And see, then Jesus can go all over the world and gather the Christians, and then the true tribulation period begins, right? The tribulation period ain't just the 7 years prior to Jesus' return, right? But if Jesus says, come up here, right, he might not can come back just yet. Now, the thing is, a day is as 1,000 years, right? Right. It's been 2 days, right, since Jesus left, right? We're entering the third day after what time? Between 27 to 28 AD, right? Now, 33 was what? wrong. The real calendar is 27 or 28 from 6, right? AD, right? He was around 32 or so when he died, right? His whole ministry, because was still 29 when he was baptized by John, right? But when he began his ministry, he could have been 30 or whatever, right? I ain't saying that. Every year you have a birthday, right? Even the Jews do that, right? Jehovah's Witnesses. They acknowledge every year of your birth, right? They don't have a birthday party, I guess. That's pagan or something. I don't know, right? But it's fun to do anyway. And God ain't against celebrating your birthday, right? You can say that's up to you, right? Now, celebrate it if you want to celebrate it, right? But you still know Jesus was about 30, and that means technically 29 when he was baptized by John, right? He was not yet 30 when he was baptized, right? So that means he was actually what age? 29, a year younger, right? That's Luke telling you about his age, right? Now, what year was this, though? If he was born in 6 or 7, right, that would be 24 or 25 AD, right? And that's, again, right, because 6 to 1, right? And then 1, right? So you got 2 ones, right? One before the 1 and a 1 after the 1 to start the new calendar year, right? So you're going from BC, which still has to do with the Caesars, by the way, to AD. And it's the new Roman emperor who's changing that. Then the calendar system, right? And ending the BC and starting the AD, right? So 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? 1, right? Right? There's no 0. There's no 0. 0 ain't a number in a calendar, right? It goes from 1 to 1, right? And see, that's the first year of the new calendar, right? Right. So 1, right? So how many years have done passed? 6. 6 means around 24, right? To 23 AD, somewhere in there, right? Because 6 from 4 is what, right? 6 from 10 is what? 4. So 24 to 3 years, 2.5 years, whatever it was, right? It was between 26 to 27 AD. Guess when Pilate got there, though? According to the Roman calendar, 26 AD. 26 AD, right? He either had, so, he was baptized by John before he turned 30, so he's 29, right? So the ministry was 3 years, right? So 6 minus 6, right? Plus 29 is what? Get you a little calendar if you don't believe me, right? So 6, right? Plus 24 is 30, right? So if that's 24, he was baptized in 23 AD, right? Not 33, right? And again, even if that were so, if that's when he died, right? But that brings the calendar back 6 years too, right? I know. See, that's what I'm trying to explain, right? See, when he was born, all this other stuff was going on too, right? Including the taxation of all the people. This has to happen when certain people are in office still, right? And that's when they were all in office. 6 BC, right? Yeah. Now, you have 6 full years, and then you go 1, right? You know, the first year is 0 to 1 year, right? Right? So you still got 364 days according to the Roman calendar, right? And a quarter. Now, I guess every 4 years they still had a leap year, right? I don't know, right? That wouldn't really matter too much, right? But, so 29 is 23 and 6, right? Right. So 23 AD, he was actually baptized by John. Perhaps in what time of year, though? Atonement, right? That's in September, right? If he turned 30, we don't know exactly when he was born, but you can get a few dates, right? Now, on the birthing calendar, right, February and March is the 6th month, right? On the sacred calendar, February and March are the 1st month, right? And on the Roman calendar, June, right, is the 6th month, right? So that'll produce 3 different dates when he could have been born. One is in November before it gets hard winter, which would still explain why the shepherds were out in the fields at night, right? Between, say, the 14th to the 30th day, somewhere between there, right? Jesus could have been born, right? All you can do is guesstimate it anyway. To know later than a little bit in December. Not the 25th now, right? At all, right? But God ain't saying you can't celebrate Jesus' birthday, Jehovah's Witnesses, if the angels did, right? That's the problem too, right? Don't you get it? The angels told the shepherds, hey, he's born, Christ the Lord, right? That's celebrating his birthday, even if he's the only birthday the Jewish calendar celebrates, right? They celebrated his birthday. The angels did, right? Silly. And it never said you couldn't. It's just not a Jewish, idea to celebrate every year you're born, right? But they do acknowledge that David's reign was 30 plus 40, right? That's 70, right? So if he lived 70 years, he died at the age of 70, right? And they even tried to bring a virgin to stir his loins, right? Because he was so cold, right? And had her lay with him, right? Bam. Now, you think I'm going after children, huh? I read the whole Bible. I know better than that, right? For today, right? You probably ain't read a third of what I read, right? Not to be boastful, right? If I will boast in my knowledge of God and Jesus, right? Not in my knowledge of man, right? Who deny the Lord, right? Need to calm down, right? Getting too antsy there. So, like I'm saying about the rapture, though, it's not until the 2 witnesses are resurrected that you're told to come up here anyway. So if Jesus is going on a rapture, it's after the 2 witnesses are resurrected, right? And they too go up into heaven in the sight of all the people, right? The only way it can be pre 2 witnesses, right, is if they try to neutron bomb you, right? Now, what's the neutron bomb, you might ask? Well, it's a bomb they were trying to develop starting in the 80s or so, that attacks living cells, right? It's worse than an EMP, I know. And what it does is anything inanimate or not alive, it don't mess with, I know. But anything alive, right, it'll kill. The other problem is your clothing is not alive, right? Like what they describe in the rapture, right? A neutron bomb would do the same thing. One can be taken and the other left, too, right? And all that will be left is his clothing, right? Or their clothing, right? But that's because Satan tries to use weapons against everybody, right? Even the Christians, right? Right. And we support the Jews, so the Muslims and the unbelievers don't want us and the Jews believing the same things, right? So they're trying to divide things, right? Exactly. But what the neutron bomb does, though, is anything alive it kills, right? And anything dead it doesn't mess with, right? But the problem is plants are alive, birds are alive, other animals, right? You also might kill your own livestock, right? Or other people's livestock, right? That's the thing about a weapon like that. It don't discriminate usually, right? Unless you think you can dial it in and Christians think different than everybody else. And you can just tune in their brain patterns or something, right? But even we are human, right? We're not saying we're not human, right? And even we can be carnally minded or spiritually minded Christians, right? And again, you have to get a map of those who claim to be either spiritually minded or carnally minded and know which is which. Right? You have to somehow program the bomb to go after this brain pattern or something, right? And this is how it would have to work, too, to target just the Christians as well. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it don't make sense, right? Mm-hmm. And then what you're doing is you're trying to what? Mm-hmm. You're trying to get rid of the Christians as many as you can, right? Oh, wow. That's not good for the world, but, see, there are Christians all over the world, right? This would be the ultimate Hail Mary attack to remove them, right? But you won't get us all, even if you do, right? Though it's not until the two witnesses who are in Jerusalem finish their ministry, right, for 3.5 years as well, mm-hmm, that God says to them, come up hither, right? That's in chapter 11, right? So still, mm-hmm, that's up to you. Mm-hmm. Have a good evening.